Question for you. How would your life change if you could save over $250,000 in mortgage interest payments and also be mortgage-free years earlier than you had planned? I mean, imagine for a second what that would mean. No more monthly payments eating up your paycheck. You'd have more freedom to travel, spend time with your family, or maybe even retire early. Well, guys, that's exactly what I showed my clients, Paul and Linda, who had just bought their dream home. They just bought a home, and like so many new homeowners, they were very excited. Obviously, very, very excited, but they also were, let's just say, a little bit overwhelmed by the size of their mortgage. And they weren't sure if they would ever get ahead and, if they'd be stuck making these payments for the next 30 years. But I'll tell you what, in less than an hour, we came up with a plan that is going to save them over $250,000 in interest, and it's also going to cut 10 years off their mortgage. And guys, this is all without needing a raise, working extra hours, or making any drastic sacrifices. And so what I'm going to do is in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how they did it step by step so that you can do the same. Hey, it's Glen Hopkins here. And before we get into this, I want you to understand that you don't need to worry too much about the specific numbers that I'm going to be sharing with you. If your mortgage amount or, the interest is different, that's completely fine. It's normal. You can apply these same principles to your situation and get very similar results. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. First of all, Paul and Linda, they just purchased their home for $1,005,000 and they put 20% down. So I'm just going to set the framework here for you. They put 20% down, which left them with an $804,000 mortgage, which is amortized over 30 years. And their interest rate was 4.59%. I shouldn't say was, it still is 4.59%. So when we ran the numbers, they were completely shocked because if they just made their regular payments, they would pay $678,000 in interest alone over the next 30 years. Now, that's almost the cost of a new house in a lot of locations, at very least, the cost of a nice condo apartment, right? And so I asked them, what if you could take back at least $250,000 of that money? What would that mean to you? And that's when we ran the numbers, and what we found literally changed everything for them. You see, Paul and Linda, they thought that the only way that they could pay off their mortgage faster was to, make more money. But the truth is, that's not the case. And so when I showed them their numbers, they couldn't believe their eyes. So let me explain. If they added just $1,000 per month to their mortgage payment, they would be mortgage-free in 20 years instead of 30 years. And the best part is that they would save $248,906 in interest. $248,906 savings. Okay, so where are they supposed to find that extra $1,000, right? Every single month. And that's exactly what my clients asked. It's probably what you're asking yourself as well. And it's a very fair question. So I told them, let's take a closer look at where your money is actually going. And this is where things started to get really interesting. You see, most people think that they're not wasting much money. But when you actually look at the numbers, it's quite shocking at how much is slipping through the cracks. So what I did is I had Paul and Linda, they went through their entire day-to-day expenses. And in just a few minutes, we uncovered over $1,000 in hidden spending without cutting back on the things that actually matter. So here's what we found. Get this. The first thing we found was their morning coffee runs. You see, at $10 per day, that's $50 per week. So what they were doing is on their way to work, they would stop by either some place like Macdonald's and often Starbucks, and they would pick up their $5 cup of coffee. And we'll round it off to $5 for the sake of this example. times 2, because there's 2 of them, right? So that's $10 a day. $10 per day for every weekday, every working day is $50 a week, or $220 a month. So the simple solution was simply to brew their coffee at home, and that would cost them closer to $30 a month, right? Now, again, that's a savings of $220 a month. Now, the second expense that we quickly found was, well, every day of the week while they were working, they were also ordering out. So they were, well, not ordering out, but they were going through a fast food restaurant or drive-through or something like that, costing them about $15 each per day. And so that added up to $600 per month. $600, guys. So if you're doing that, think about that for a moment. Simple solution, of course, is to prepare your meal at home. And that brought it down to just $200 a month. Okay, so a savings here of $400 a month. The next thing was subscription overload. Take a look at your subscriptions, guys. There's so many things that we are subscribed to that we don't think about. It can be as easy as just, if you have a Visa card, opening up that statement, running through the statement, you're quickly going to see those recurring charges, and those things add up. So we found a total of $100 in subscriptions. And the solution was really just to cut out the ones that they weren't using and downgrade them, okay? So, if you have Netflix and you have Hulu and you have Prime and you have Apple Plus TV and you have, you name it, there's so many of them. Do you really need them all? And do you really need to be watching that much TV might be a better question for you. Also, gym memberships is a big one. Gym memberships, so many people, they buy their gym membership and never use them. I will say, though, before you consider downgrading or canceling your gym membership, I would actually recommend using it. Okay, use it. It's so good for you. But if you don't use it, that's fine. Make that choice. But why pay for it if you're not using it? So anyways, these guys, they cut back on their subscriptions, and they were able to save another $100 per month just doing that. Number 4, the fourth thing that they found was that they were actually doing a little bit of impulsive shopping. And so by actually using a shopping list and also waiting 24 hours, having that 24-hour wait rule for impulse buys, well, they cut their spending by $150. So that's another $150 a month. This is adding up, guys, right? Now, I know that some of these things aren't going to fit you, but I'm going to give you some other ideas at the end of this video, and we can share some ideas amongst ourselves as well. But the next thing, number 5, was simply dining smarter. Now, I don't know about you, but a lot of people, Paul and Linda, as an example, they like to go out for dinner about once a month, and they don't go anywhere super expensive. They go to places like, the Cactus Club or, Brown's Social House, places like that, right? So not super expensive, but nonetheless, it adds up. And every time they would go out for dinner, well, Paul would typically order 2 beers, okay? Beer costs on average about $9. So that's $18 for 2 beers. Linda would have her 2 glasses of white wine, $13 each, for $26, okay? And then they also ordered their dessert, which we looked at it and it tallied about $13 per dessert on average. So $26 for the 2 of them. That's a total of $70 per dinner. So what we did is we had a little bit of a chat about this, and we got real. And they were able to cut back to just 1 drink, no problem. They said they don't really need 2 drinks. It's more of a habit than anything. But if they had just 1 drink each, they would be more than satisfied and really be able to enjoy their meal. And they thought to themselves, they're wanting to lose a little bit of weight, so why have these expensive desserts? So we said, well, hey, let's not totally cut out everything. What if you just bought 1 dessert and shared it? So they agreed on that. They're going to try that out. But by doing this, from cutting back from 2 drinks to 1 drink, and from 2 desserts to 1 dessert shared between them, they're going to save $35 per meal. Guys, that's $420 per year. Imagine what would happen if you cut out the drinks altogether and just got a soda, or even better yet, water, right? Water's better for you anyways. All right, so listen to this, guys. The total extra money that they found here was, well, you guessed it, $1,000 per month. Okay, now here's where it got a little bit crazy, because the truth is, where there's a will, there's a way. And so Paul and Linda, they started to brainstorm and wondering where else could they come up with even more money to put down on their mortgage. And, you know, they're not sure if they're going to do it just yet, but here's what they came up with very quickly. They had heard that some of their friends were hosting an international student, and they were getting $1,000 per month to rent a room to that student. And so, you know, as it turns out, they actually do have an extra room in their home that they're not really using. And they're not sure if they're going to do this yet. It was just an idea. But they thought to themselves, if they rented out that room for an additional $1,000 a month, bingo, they would have $2,000 per month to slap down on their mortgage. So you want to ask yourself, how can you get creative? Go ahead, put it in the comments below if you've got some other ideas on how you can save some money. But you know, with $2,000 in extra payments per month, they would be mortgage free in 15 years and 3 months. And guys, they would save $356,567 in interest. So think about that for just a second. They would literally be cutting their mortgage in half. So again, the question is what would you do? Give me some creative ways. Think about a few ways that you could save some extra money on your mortgage. And do me a favor, drop it in the comment below so that everybody can share and learn from these ideas and get some inspiration, because it can really help you long term. You know, and if you're serious about paying off your mortgage faster, check out my Mortgage Secrets Guide. I'll put a link up here, a QR code on the screen. It's packed with all sorts of strategies on how you can save thousands of dollars, other ways than what we just talked about here in this video. So I'll put a QR code up on the screen, also a link in the description box below. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm easy to chat with. There is a link in the description box below. I'll put a QR code here on the screen, somewhere on the screen, and we can have a chat, whether that's about mortgages or if you're thinking about buying or selling your home. I'm always happy to help. Otherwise, I will see you on the next video.